Welcome, everybody, to Inside Boxing Daily on the Gruely Truth Sports Network. Inside Boxing Daily is brought to you by the Retired Boxers Foundation with our friend Alex Ramos and Jackie Richardson. Make sure you check them out on Facebook. I am your host for Inside Boxing Daily, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Jeremiah Preisser.
Happy to be on, Mike. Always happy, man, whenever we get to talk some boxing. So, as always, let's get it going.
All right, let's get it started. It looks like Alexander Usyk will be fighting Derek Chisora on, what date is that? You got that? Was it July 9th or June 9th?
I don't know. 23rd, I think. Something
May
like that.
23rd. May 23rd. All right. I think this was expected. I think we discussed this a little bit last week. And this is a huge fight for Usyk because it's not just win. I mean, I think he has to be impressive in winning if he wants to get this title shot as quickly as he possibly can.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, he's already in a privileged position with the WBO. So, as soon as he moved up, whether he fights Chisora or not, I mean, to me, he's getting a shot at that alphabet trinket no matter what, even if he beats Derek Chisora. But I think it's good for his development to fight a guy, a good, strong, solid, aggressive fringe guy like Derek Chisora, a guy who's got a lot of experience, been in with tons of good people. I mean, we're talking about a guy who fought Vitaly Klitschko, 7-8 years ago, something like that. So I think it's a good step up. I like to see it. I mean, you do see some people, I don't know, I think it's a bit odd, but you do see a few people thinking that, Chisora's going to get the job done. I think Usyk is a real threat to the top heavyweights. Tyson Fury is probably the worst styles matchup for him. But, when we're talking about Anthony Joshua, Wilder, all these other guys, I think Usyk is a real player. I think he's going to school Chisora. His foot movement is just going to be much too much. His hand speed's going to be too quick. He's just going to use pinpoint accuracy and pot shot him all night long. And I think a stoppage is a real possibility here. I mean, his timing is so good, and Chisora is fading, that I think that can really happen.
All right, remember, you can send us messages on Twitter, direct message us, or on Spreaker. We have a message from Boxer Rex, who says, Chisora is a C-level heavyweight and has no business in the ring with a top 5 pound-for-pound talent. This is a mismatch. Usyk by lopsided decision.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't know, my grades with these heavyweights, I'm not quite sure I'd call Chisora a C-level guy. Again, I just think, I don't know, for me, statistically, that doesn't bear out. I mean, Chisora is a top 15-ish kind of guy, and I think that means you're fairly high level. I don't know, I just don't know if I would attach a C grade to it, but I get it. I mean, Usyk looks leaps and bounds better than Chisora does. And at this stage, with Usyk dominating cruiserweight and moving up, I mean, to me, I said this a long time ago, that I thought Usyk was the best cruiserweight I've seen since Evander Holyfield. And I stick to that. And I think the jump up should be no problem at all. I just hope he doesn't put on too much weight to where it affects what really makes him special. And again, that's his footwork, that's his timing, his feints, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want him to get bogged down too much with the weight, but I think he's going to whip Chisora here, and I agree with this fella.
All right, we have Hamed on the line. Hamed wanted to come on tonight. He's late because he fell asleep. Hamed, explain yourself.
Yes, hello, Mike, Jeremiah. How's it going? I thought you guys normally are on 4 o'clock, that's why. I was trying to listen to something. I just fell asleep. It wasn't too long, but I think you're talking about the Chisora-Usyk fight.
What do you think, Chisora-Usyk? You think this is I think it's a good gauge to see whether Usyk is really a heavyweight or not.
I like the fight. I wanted to see either Chisora against Usyk or Joseph Parker against Usyk. In terms of seeing how he could take a punch, I think this might be a better fight. The only problem is, from a UK standpoint, is the fight is on pay-per-view here. So we're essentially going to get 2-3 pay-per-views in the space of, I believe, I think it might be 6 or 7 weeks, which obviously a lot of these fights are not pay-per-view worthy on their own. Guys like Pulev and Povetkin are towards the end of their career, and to get this on pay-per-view, I just can't see how you could stand it. But the actual fight is a good fight. Don't get me wrong, because Chisora is always someone who doesn't lie down. I think Usyk should win the fight. I'm not sure about stoppage. I do think he could. Is his first real test at heavyweight. I do think he could be a bit rusty and could be. I don't really count Chaz Witherspoon. I think he could be facing some sort of element of danger if he tries going in there looking for a stoppage. But he could definitely stop him down the line or maybe break him down. I have seen Chisora get stopped by guys like Fury, and I think I'm not sure Dillian White did stop him, but I personally think Usyk probably on points is a safe bet. Although I wouldn't rule out some sort of TKO or corner stoppage towards the end of the fight, but I do think Chisora is live in the fight. I think if Chisora implements his game plan and Usyk can carry the weight and power, because we haven't really seen him at heavyweight against a top 10, 15 rated fighter, which I think Chisora probably is. Chisora will have a chance, but Usyk is a pretty heavy favourite in the fight.
All right, we have one more comment. This is from E. Presney. I got excited at first, Jeremiah, because I thought it was Elvis Presley, and we had that standing bet. I told you Elvis is alive, and it could have been proof, but it's not. When I look better at it, it's Presney. He says, Usyk does not have much time left, so he can't afford to lose to the French contender Chisora. His jab and movement should win this fight for Usyk, but he can hardly beat Joshua, who is also a good mover, let alone Fury or Wilder. His ceiling, as I see it, are fighting guys like Povetkin or the winner of Povetkin versus White showdown. Presney, Alexander Usyk would beat the dog shit out of Deontay Wilder. What do you think, Jeremiah?
Well, I think that I already made it clear, almost when we started talking about this topic, that I think Usyk is a threat to anybody and everybody. And actually, I think if he came in at 205 pounds, I think he would still whoop Derek Chisora, maybe even worse because he'd be quicker. But the reason why I think a stoppage is, I think a decision is a safe bet, but I think a stoppage over Chisora is a real possibility because I think he's going to bang the body a lot. I think he's smart enough to recognize that that's a real good strategy against an older heavyweight, and I think he's going to stick behind the jab and throw as many body punches as he can possibly land, and I think he can get the job done that way. I mean, just by stopping him on a body shot itself or opening him up that way. But to me, the heavyweight division is not a strong one. I know we've been over this over and over and over again.
Sucks.
It's just not a strong division. And Usyk, to me, is arguably the second best cruiserweight to ever do it. And I think because of that, you're talking about a high-level cruiserweight in a poor division. I think he can hang with any of these guys and possibly beat any of them.
All right, let's move on, as Gennady Golovkin looks like he may get his third fight with Canelo Alvarez. What is that, about a year and a half, 2 years after the second fight, because Canelo don't want that smoke from a young Golovkin, which is why I didn't fight him before. But it looks like they're going to fight. Rumor is it will take place at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, at 168 pounds, provided Canelo beats Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know. What kind of a chance do you give him, Jeremiah?
Man. Well, in my heart, I'd like to say that his chances are rock solid, but I don't believe it. I mean, Golovkin is going to be 38, I believe, on the 10th of April. So, we're just a few weeks off here from his 38th birthday. We're talking about a Canelo Alvarez who's at the peak of his powers. I mean, if Golovkin couldn't get a decision in the second fight, I have a real hard time believing that he can get a decision in the first fight. But actually, Hamed and I talked about this, and I asked his chances, and, he'll have his opportunity to go over this. But the only way I see Golovkin winning this fight, he looks older, he looks slower, he's more vulnerable, he's been hurt. He was obviously hurt against Derevyanchenko. His best bet is to be aggressive, stick behind the jab, and bang to the body as much as he possibly can, and just try to dog him. I mean, that is his best bet. That's really the only way that I see him taking it. I don't think he can box and move like he did before and be as effective. I don't see it.
You're a hater. I think Golovkin can win this fight. What do you think, Hamed?
I was gonna say he could obviously win the fight anyhow, even though he's 37 or 8. Because that fight with the second fight, sorry, with Canelo was not too long ago. I know with guys like Golovkin who got the style that come forward, you can age and slow down drastically over a year or even fight later, like he looked against Derevchenko, but. Golovkin has to try and draw him into a fight. He'd have to do what Tyson Fury did, similar to Wilder, in terms of taking out the judge's hands and just go looking for a knockout. Although, obviously, Canelo's not Wilder, and you got two completely different fighters in that case.
No, because Canelo has talent.
I think the hard thing would be, I don't know if he's got the legs to do that. Like, if you're trying to make someone like Canelo draw into a fight, if you just can't pull that off at 37, 38, and it ends up being a physical taxing fight that could go 10, 11, 12 rounds, I don't know. That's something Golovkin could only answer. Does he mind trying to go in there and trying his best to knock him out and risk getting stopped himself, or would he mind giving it a go? But in the end, he probably won't have the legs to do it for 11, 12 rounds. It's hard to say because I don't think we got to see these guys fight since the second fight. I think maybe, although I didn't want to see it immediately, I would have liked to have seen it a bit earlier. Like, the later it goes, it just is becoming a lot more in Canelo's favour. But of course he could win. He's a big puncher. He hurt him in the second fight. If he draws him into a fight, he could obviously knock anyone out in that division. We've seen him put down guys like Jacobs, Derevchenko, and I don't think Canelo came close to putting down Jacobs, and I don't think Canelo would probably stop or drop Derevchenko. He maybe possibly would, but that shows Golovkin still carries that power. I would favour Canelo heavily, though, in that third fight. I think the longer it goes and the higher the weight class up, I think Canelo is going to have all the advantages, but it's definitely not a foregone conclusion.
Well, it's not like Canelo looked great against Kovalev either.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's where I think, but I don't know with that fight if he was having trouble getting on the inside.
Well, the fight was fixed. I mean, it just was. It was. I don't know why you laugh. I think it was choreographed, and I've never seen a dude go down like that and then still be able to give an interview 2 minutes later.
I don't think it was fixed, but I could see the argument because when I was watching it live, it was very weird. Although he did almost get knocked out by Anthony Yarde. I know Anthony Yarde's a lot bigger, but let's be real, that was something. That was like a fish out of water in that fight for 10 or 11 rounds. I think barely won 1 or 2 rounds, and one of the rounds he hurt Kovalev. So Kovalev wasn't the same guy who fought Hopkins, Ward, the guy that put Selak to sleep in 1 or 2 rounds. This was a different vision. At the same time, I picked Canelo by stoppage. I didn't think he looked that impressive. I did think he'd win a lot more convincingly in terms of rounds. I thought Kovalev was winning that fight, and I think a lot of people had Kovalev up. Although I think some people might have had it even. But on the flip side, I don't know, maybe jumping up 2 weight classes against a guy with a long reach, it could be. It's hard to say because him and Golovkin size-wise is not much difference. Although if that fight was fixed, then that's not a good indication. I've heard there is some sort of evidence, you could say, or there is some sort of red flags. That fight.
I think the biggest red flag could be the fact that I told you it was fixed, and you should take my word for it, Hamed.
No, it's Kovalev himself.
Case closed.
Yes. So I'm going to say this.
The way Kovalev is
this is the way I take it, and this is not based on anything scientific, but I believe that Canelo, to be as close to beating Triple G as he did the second time, had to go through hell. I don't think that he wants to go through hell again. I think that's why he put this fight off even longer. My take with Triple G is, as long as he's not completely shot, to beat him, you're going to have to go through hell. I don't know that Canelo wants to do that again. I think Gennady Golovkin has a shot to win this fight, and really I don't know why anybody would say he wouldn't, since he already won the first 2.
Oh yeah, well, I want to before Jamal gets in. I still want to see the third fight in terms of. I just like the first 2 fights in a way. I think he will rob Triple G of something if he does end up getting stopped, because I don't think he was once the guy he was. In terms of the first two fights, they were more probably physical taxing for someone like Canelo during the fight. With Golovkin, is more of age and wear and tear of his career. Although, I realized apart from the second fight, majority of Canelo's career, Canelo's a guy who doesn't like to really get to hit, likes to get hit, and he's someone who's fancied up his defense. But in that second fight, I don't think Golovkin looked as great as I've seen him in the past, and especially in the Derevchenko fight. I think he has slowed down, and I think if he's anywhere near as he looks like in the second half of the Derevchenko fight, I think Canelo stopping him is a possibility. But we need to see it sooner rather than later. The longer it goes, it's just going to be a 38 to 9-year-old guy against someone who's in his absolute prime.
All right, Jeremiah.
Yeah. I just wanted to say a few things. I do think if Golovkin gets aggressive and does kind of like the Tyson Fury thing where he just, tries to back him up and bangs him. And it would be kind of funny because, Alvarez has been likened to a diva lately. I mean, he's the money man, right? He's probably the biggest brand in the sport. I think Tyson Fury can catch up to him, especially if he beats Deontay Wilder comprehensively once again. But I think Golovkin he would have to employ a strategy much like the first one, where he comes at him. And like Hamed, does he have the legs for it? I think Golovkin has the legs enough to chase Canelo Alvarez around for 12 rounds if he can get Alvarez to back up. I do believe that to be the case because Alvarez isn't he's not a constant mover. You know what I mean? He'll give you lateral movement, but he's not a kind of guy who will circle consistently like Erislandy Lara or, guys like Pernell Whitaker or something like that. But, and it makes me wonder because Alvarez does seem to dislike Golovkin on a personal level now. I mean, especially after Golovkin hurled all those insults after he failed, a couple PED tests or tested positive, sorry. So maybe that will add some spite to Alvarez's game and he will go for the stoppage. Or maybe because Canelo's getting more of a diva and he doesn't like to get touched as much, maybe it'll take something off his game. I'd bet that once they get in a firefight, they just kind of revert to, whatever they are. But it's an interesting fight. I mean, and it's funny because people are giving Canelo Alvarez a hard time, but it's like between anybody at 160 and 168, who would you rather see him fight than Gennady Golovkin? I know some people say, we'll let the young bucks get their shot. Charlo, Andrade, Callum Smith, Billy Joe. That fight's not even official yet, but apparently it's already done. But yeah, it's like, who would you rather see than Golovkin? I think Golovkin provides the most bang for the buck. Again, I understand what other people are saying, but it's like at least you're going to get a fight this way.
Yeah, and
yeah,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say the zone need to make that fight. Forget the fans.
Yeah, that's what they've been expecting.
Since they've come into the market, you got two of the arguably biggest names you got. They need to match them up, and we still haven't seen the third fight. A lot of people, including myself, feel Golovkin won the first fight. Live, the rematch, I thought it was a draw. Although when I rewatched it, I thought Canelo, you can make a good case that he won the rematch.
Oh, shit. Come on. Do you not want to be on this show anymore? I mean, just tell me. I mean, you don't have to beat around the bush. If you don't want to be here anymore, just let us know.
So, I mean, the third fight will be a trilogy.
You tell me how you feel, Hamed.
No. So I don't think this is like Wilder getting gifted a draw, like people calling that trilogy. Fury clearly won, I thought, both those fights.
I thought the second fight was really close. I had Golovkin win him by a point, but the first fight wasn't even close, I didn't think.
I thought the first fight was a bit closer than some people thought, but I still had Golovkin winning that. I think it was about 7 rounds to 5. Whereas I didn't agree with that 119-110 Adelaide Bridge scorecard. But with Wilder and Fury, I think it's a lot more different. Wilder, I think you'd have to bend over backwards to say he won or even got a draw in that fight. Like it was very hard to give Wilder more than I think.
Hey, actually, in the second fight, Wilder got bent over forwards.
Yeah. I don't know how you could sell that third fight. Wilder Fury.
I think Jeremiah had a picture of it too on the Casual Monday.
Yeah, Yeah, we've got a few of those. Everybody was making a big deal. Yeah, I posted a few of those, and not the casual Mondays right after the fight. There was a ton of people who were like memed Wilder to death, and they had a poster with Tyson Fury behind Deontay Wilder, and a bunch of people made memes indicating that Tyson Fury fucked him.
Hey, watch your language on this show.
Kid friendly.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know what? Hamed's going to think all Americans are rude like you.
I was wondering who puts all those memes together, but yeah, I was going to check out the one you did this week. Those are normally funny. I was going to say, that third fight, I've heard that Wilder and his camp want to push it back, but regarding Triple G and Canelo, that's still probably the biggest fight in America in terms of, at the moment, I can't think of a bigger fight. Now that Wilder's lost, they always say in Wilder and maybe Joshua, if you can make that, I don't think that'd probably be as big as the first or second Canelo Triple G fight, but maybe you could have argued that one fight of Joshua and Wilder would have been as big as maybe second or third fight. Although right now, I'm not sure if Fury and Joshua is that. If that happens in America, Joshua's, the last thing of him people remember in America was him getting beat from pillar to post by Ruiz. So Joshua and Fury will probably be a big fight in the UK and maybe Europe, but Golovkin Canelo is still a big fight. And I think DAZN, if they want to rev up the subscribers, especially in America, they need to make that fight. September is not a bad probably idea, because I think Billy Joe and Canelo is a good fight. And then if they do go on and fight, say, Murata, if they beat both those guys in a third fight, that's not a bad schedule for Canelo. But I think Michael Montero was saying they're trying to wrap up some sort of deal. So it's probably...
Yeah, because I heard Murata maybe in December if he was to beat Triple G in September.
Yeah, so it's probably still a schedule that they're working on. But at the moment, I'm not even sure if the Billy Joe Saunders fight is official. So I think we need to wait until that gets sorted. Then I think Golovkin will probably fight someone in the meantime, and then he'll fight Canelo, assuming Canelo beats Billy Joe, which he most likely should.
All right.
Okay, so I have a quick question. What if Billy Joe beats Alvarez? I know that's highly unlikely because it's going to be a decision.
I think it's possible.
Oh, okay, so but hold on. What then? Do we then get Billy Joe versus Triple G?
Well,
we'll probably get a rematch, I'd say.
Yeah. I would say that the other problem with that is I forgot about the decisions in those cases. So Billy Joe's probably not going to win unless he knocks him out. You're right there. So I don't think that if the fight is even remotely close, hell, I think if Billy Joe won 8 out of 12 rounds, he ain't getting the decision.
No, I wouldn't go that far. Depend if he does what he did to Lemieux, or maybe obviously Canelo's no Lemieux, but if he wins, I don't know how many rounds in that fight. A lot of people thought he won 11, 12 rounds, but say if he wins about 9 or 10, which is unlikely, convincingly against Canelo, I think they'll have to give him the decision.
I don't think they will. I mean, I don't watched, think dude, if you remember, there was one judge that had him getting a draw against Floyd Mayweather, and he lost every freaking round.
Yeah,
Billy Joe ain't Floyd.
Yeah.
There'll probably be a judge again that'll do it. No, Billy Joe won't. I don't think Billy Joe will do that. But I said if he was to somehow get on and turn into some sort of Lomachenko/Mayweather and do that, he would. But I don't think that'll happen. I think Canelo's improved. I think if he does beat him in some people's eyes, at best it'll probably be a draw, something like that. Say if he's clearly won about 7 or 8 rounds in some people's eyes, I think it's too much riding on Canelo. I personally don't think he get the decision, because I think the way they judge in Vegas is they're smart. For the Jacobs fight, they gave Jacobs, I think, 4 or 5 rounds and a couple of scorecards. I think that was after all the backlash they received for some of the Triple G fight. I don't personally think the way they judged the second fight was that bad. I thought that was a close fight. I don't think they had scorecards too wide in the second fight, but majority of Canelo's fights, he's always had one scorecard that's been out of line, like that's been ridiculous.
All right, so let's talk a little Demetrius Andrade, because it looks like the WBO has ordered him to defend against 7th ranked Liam Williams. Jeremiah, what do you think?
I think it's a good I think it's a good fight. I mean, Andrade's been searching high and low, I guess, for an opponent, and Williams, I think, is a serviceable option at the moment. I actually think Williams could win. Andrade, to me, is not particularly impressive. He is a good fighter. He's skilled, no doubt about that. But he's shown that he's fairly one-dimensional in the way that he attacks. I mean, even against Luke Keeler in his last bout, you can see even when he had Keeler hurt, he was relying on the straight left hand. He doesn't have a lot of flexibility to his offense, and I think that's why he struggled with lesser guys. I mean, he was dropped by Vanes Martirosyan. He struggled with Jack Colkay. To me, he's not an elite-level operator, and Williams is one of the bigger punchers at 160, and he actually looked pretty good. Actually, Williams looked good taking apart I can't even remember his first name, Alvanti Fox. He looked good taking him apart when Fox went 12 rounds with Demetrius Andrade. So I think it's an interesting fight for what we get. I mean, I'd much rather see Andrade against Charlo, Derevyanchenko, something like that. Somebody against, who's solidified themselves in the division a little bit more. Then again, Liam Williams did lose to Liam Smith twice. They were both close decisions, competitive fights. But if you're not beating Liam Smith, that's probably a good indicator that you're not going to be an elite-level operator of the Division II. So I think Andrade should win a decision. Maybe he'll have some hairy moments, but it's better than I thought we would get.
Man, that was like my prom night. I had some hairy moments. That was back in the 80s. What?
Let's talk about them.
Do you want to? Do you really want to?
No, we'll move on.
I know you do, but I'll tell you about it after the show. Hamed, you can hang on a
Can
little
I add-
too. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, can I add-
You've had some hairy moments too,
No,
Hamed?
He's
No,
like,
no,
before I
no,
hopped
no,
on
no.
air.
Oh, okay.
No. I was gonna say, I thought Liam Smith was lucky in that first fight with Liam Williams. I know Jeremiah said he lost twice. I'm pretty sure both of those fights were controversial. First fight, Liam Williams was clearly winning, and I think he got headbutted by Liam Smith. And I think Gary Lockett, who fought Kelly Pavlik, I think back in 2007, stopped the fight because he was such a bad cut on the eyelid. And it went to, I believe, the scorecard.
Yeah,
I
it did.
believe it was. It should
did.
have really been a technical decision. I'm not too sure who they had ahead, but I'm pretty sure a lot of ringside observers and fans had Liam Williams winning that fight. And in the rematch, I didn't really watch the full fight, but to me, after the 12th round, it seemed to me like a lot of people, including myself, just the rounds I watched, it seemed like Liam Williams might have won that fight. So I'm not sure, and I've heard
I thought Smith edged it, but it was a lot closer than the judges, because if I remember right, two of the judges scored it way too wide. I actually had Smith winning by a point, I think.
Yeah, that was another thing. I think Frank Warren was the one who's promoted Liam Smith. I'm not too sure if Liam Williams at that time was being promoted by Warren or someone else. But I've heard rumors that Liam Williams might be on PEDs. Allegedly, I've heard.
Oh, that'll give him a better chance, though.
Shit, who is it?
That's what I've heard this about a while. But since those fights, he's been knocking a lot of people out. And I believe he's with someone who's had a lot of guys in his gym get busted for PEDs. I'm not too sure.
Is he in the Angle gym now?
It could be either the Angle gym or another gym. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah,
I think it is the Angle gym. And on top of that, he's fighting Andrade, who I don't believe is really as good as maybe some people, including himself, think. I still got question marks over him.
I think this.
Especially at
I think he
160.
sucks. But I still think he could beat Deontay Wilder. But really, I mean, when I look at Andrade, the first time I remember watching him was against Jack Colkay in Germany, and he won a split decision. I thought he won, but I only had him winning by a point. And let's face it, Jack Colkay is not that good. Demetrius Andrade is not that good. And for the idiots, because I had William Pounds again, who, if you're listening, William, you can still come on this show to defend yourself, but you don't, just like you don't on Facebook, because you just like to be a keyboard warrior and you don't know shit. And Demetrius Andrade runs like a bitch. He's boring as hell. I don't want to pay to see him. Nobody else wants to pay to see him, and that's why he can't get a fight. with Golovkin or Canelo, plus the fact that he's nowhere near on either one of their levels, and they both would beat his ass. Now, I think Andrade, if he ran and got some new track shoes, that maybe he could run circles around Golovkin and win a decision, but he will never be half the fighter Gennady Golovkin has been, and to think that it is means that you're stupid or you're new era media.
I do still want to see him because he's got some sort of trinket fight at least one of the other top guys. Because I said this with Jeremiah and I said it to another person I think recently as well. I can't remember who I was speaking to. That a lot of those DAZN fighters are 160, 168. We haven't seen them mix and match or fight each other. Like hopefully we see Canelo fight Billy Joe. But
well, hell, Andrade could fight Jaime Munguia.
I don't mind if he fights Munguia, Jacobs, Callum Smith, whatever weight class it is.
Him and Munguia both suck, so that's not going to be it might be entertaining just because neither one of them is very good. But I get tired of Demetrius Andrade crap. I mean, if Andrade and Charlo were that serious about getting a fight with Canelo or Triple G, they would just fight each other in force.
Yeah, that's on Charlo. Yeah, Charlo and his whole other side of the street, the way they managed by Al Heyman, the fact that they won't, work with other promoters, some of these Al Heyman fighters, I think that's on them. I did hear Eddie Hearn tried making that fight, and Charlo done some sort of drunken rant. I'll say this with Andrade, I've not been impressed with a lot of his fights. I forwarded the last fight with Solecki after the first round. I thought, not Solecki, I can't remember the guys. It was Makila, I don't even know his. I can't remember his name. But a lot of his fights, even with Solecki, I think the guy that Billy Joe Saunders fought and beat, I've not been really impressed, and I've kind of felt bored in a lot of his fights. He has got the skills, but he's on his shoes, and he should be getting rid of these guys or making a statement. Like, I think someone made a good statement. Would a guy like Canelo or Triple G be playing with their food if they were fighting these type of opponents? I don't think they would.
Chuck, the boxing guru, that you always know that when somebody nicknames themselves the boxing guru, that they're going to have a lot of knowledge. He said that Charlo has more options than Andrade does. Charlo is more than likely fighting Eubanks next. Eddie Hearns need to stop sending offers over Instagram and do his job. He says that the best fights at 160 for Andrade are Canelo and Triple G, but they flat out refuse to fight him. Yet, you guys don't mention that at all. I think I just did mention it. And he also adds, that's not surprising considering what you guys are. So, thanks, Chuck, the boxing guru.
Well,
you're a fucking genius.
He's obviously a moron. I was speaking to
and
a
how
moron
about this?
the other day.
Chuck the boxing guru, which looks to be his name is Danny. When you can look in their profile on Spreaker. But Danny, if you ever want to come on the show and debate this with me, you're more than welcome. We'll let you be on. It'll be just like all those little Deontay Wilder cockroaches who talk a lot of shit, but when they're asked to come on and defend what they have to say, don't even respond. But go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, I'll let Jeremiah get on this as well, because I want to hear his thoughts. But I was going to say, Eddie Hearn sent the email. That's an actual offer. And Charlo said, and a lot of the guys, including Spence, Wilder, they said they're their own boss. If you're your own promoter, your own boss, you are allowed to send those guys contracts. If they're saying they're their own manager, they're free agents, this, that, and the other. And he sent him an email offer, which is actually a contract. Most contracts are sent via email. They're not Instagram offers or contracts. I think they're referring to what Wilder did with Joshua, the whole 50 million, which I believe was an Instagram post. And he just wrote a couple of lines and whatever. Whether or not the money was there, I believe it probably was there, but that was not a legitimate offer. It's like some sort of 24-hour phony contract. But I was going to say, a lot of these guys, I spent the other day, because we have a Google Hangouts group, a lot of these guys, they have some sort of tunnel vision. I tried debating one of them, and he...
Did you say they don't have any televisions?
I know, tunnel vision. Like they only see through
the
one
phone cut
one.
out. It sounded like you said they didn't have any televisions. I'm like, how in the hell are they making all these genius videos then?
No, tunnel vision.
Well,
Might
Might as well not have television with waiting to see this.
Well, I
Go
think
ahead.
what happens is Dante has his class that you could pay $3.99 for every Sunday morning, and since they don't have televisions, he just draws pictures for him.
I was going to say, we debated a guy called the Fight Doctor. We have a group in the Google Hangouts group. There's a couple of other groups I used to be in, which are just a lot of YouTubers, guys who, a lot of them I've got to know. A lot of them are good guys, but we had the odd few idiot and morons in there. And a guy called, I was trying to get on the show, I'm not too sure if you heard of Fight Doctor, who I think Montero debated when he came on the Ringside Reporter. And he calls in to the Ringside Reporter. So, but we were going back and forth for a couple of hours, me, him, and a couple of other guys. And he kept saying about the resume whole thing, about he just couldn't give like guys like Lennox Lewis, guys like Anthony Joshua credit for avenging their defeats. And I just think it's a bit very stupid, like to say stuff like Walder's never lost to a guy like Ruiz. But then I was trying to say the same thing, like who has he beaten that guys like Lewis beat, like the likes of Holyfield, the likes of Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko, and there's no answers. And a lot of these guys, they end up contradicting themselves. So, I mean, making moronic statements is one thing, but at least try and back up what you're claiming that other people are saying is not true.
All right. Jeremiah, anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, come on. Demetrius Andrade is... I mean, you see it enough. I mean, these guys constantly move the goalpost. Alvarez, Golovkin, they're all avoiding Demetrius Andrade. Yeah, they are avoiding him in a sense because he doesn't bring shit to the table. I mean, this is called prize fighting. It's not prize legacy or something like that. We know that DAZN is not going to put big money in front of Golovkin and Alvarez's faces and not want subscribership to where they build more money because of it, right? So we already knew that Golovkin and Alvarez 3 was on the table. At least most people should. Most semi-objective analysts of this should. So it's not surprising. What does Demetrius Andrade bring to the table? And listen, man, I want to see the best fight the best. I'm not riding or dying with any of these parties, whether you're PBC. I think there's good and bad about both of them, right? I mean, DAZN is the best value. PBC, you get the most eyes on it, which is good for the sport. ESPN is cheap. You get a great back catalog. There's great things about all of these, and there's also shitty things about all these. So, again, I'm not riding or dying with any of these. I want to see Demetrius Andrade get a shot at Canelo Alvarez or even Golovkin. Granted, they can squeeze him into the schedule, but it all depends, and you have to look at it through a business lens as well. DAZN is paying Alvarez potentially a massive sports contract. They have to see some return out of that. So does Murata do better than Andrade when it comes to selling power? Of course he does. Does a third Golovkin fight do much better than Demetrius Andrade? Obviously. I actually think Montero put it nicely when he was talking about how Golovkin and Alvarez, too, only had the HBO hype machine between it. It didn't have a combination of PBC, ESPN. They didn't have commercials on the Super Bowl. They didn't have all of this big money behind them, and yet they still did far bigger numbers than Fury Wilder 2. So listen, man, it's also got to be a business. And Demetrius Andrade, he's not doing enough to force the hand. Okay, and really, is Demetrius Andrade any better than Billy Joe Saunders? We don't know that.
No,
we don't know
I
that.
I don't think so.
No, Demetrius, to me, Billy Joe Saunders has a better resume at 160. It's like this guy's praising Charlo for fighting Chris Eubank. Okay, that's old news with Billy Joe Saunders. He already beat him, right? I mean, come on, man. Billy Eubank is a good fight, but Billy Joe Saunders beat him years ago, okay? And Billy Joe was green then. Okay, so again, it's all got to add up. I want to see Andrade get a shot at one of these guys. I do, but you also have to understand the business aspect of the sport.
With my guidance was with Charlo, I don't know how these guys could defend him, because these are some of the same people that say, and I've talked to other guys, it's not just, I don't want to make it into a race, because I'm talking with two white guys. I think some people probably listening to
How do you know I'm white? You just
And you're
assume that. You don't know.
Well, and Hamed's not even white. This guy's
Yeah, that's not
true.
right. No, but people, I've heard some guy made a video about me taking shots at me. I've talked to guys who are black, and they agree with me. A lot of these PBC fans, they are trying to make some sort of divide and see Al Heyman as some sort of Al Sharpton or something. But Charlo is on the same predicament as Terence Crawford is. But for Crawford, they say Crawford should go to the other side of the street, which maybe you can make an argument. But for Charlo, they're happy with him fighting guys like Chris Eubank Jr. Like, I don't see that. Like, that to me is a double standard, and it looks like at the moment he's going to fight guys like Chris Eubank Jr. and maybe, I'm not even sure if that fight don't pull off, who else he fights. Because over there, I don't know if there's any other options, unless he wants to try and make some sort of deal with Andrade, which at the moment looks like he doesn't want. So, like that, I don't understand. And a lot of these guys on YouTube who are part of the whole LDBC, a lot of these guys are very biased towards, especially the PBC and a lot of their fighters, because they got granted interviews with a lot of them, guys like Spence and Charlos and Wilder. So a lot of I think the fans are more dumb. I think someone made a video, I think it was Ring IQ, and Montero also said on Twitter as well, the guys with the subscribers are not as dumb. They're making money, they're doing it for clicks, but the guys who are following them are repeating them.
Yeah.
The ones who are the sheeps, I think they are really dumb, because they're too lazy to check what's actually true and what's false. Like, they just run with whatever's reported. You had a guy reporting Fury tested positive the other day based on a fake tweet, and then 24 hours later the WBC confirmed that Fury and the whole...
Hey, that was really hard on that tweet to see if it was true or not, because on the date it said 2016, so...
No, there was another one, Photoshop, just Mauricio Solomon's tweet.
Oh, because the first one I saw said like 2016 or something on the bottom of it where the date is, but...
Oh, there's a couple. That I posted one to just troll, I think, on one of the Facebook groups. But the one someone made on Twitter, I think someone went from the LDBC, some guy, and made a video about it. Montero also saw it, and he was even saying, like, that was misinformation. That guy, I think, had over 50,000 subscribers, and if you look at the comment section, a lot of them actually, without doing the research, are just calling Fury a cheater. So I think you guys did do a show on it, but it just shows how dumb and stupid some fans are. Like, they don't check the results from VADA. They'll just go with a guy who's making a video in a car. And
no, it's
I think
because
that's
they want it to be true. They hear what they want to hear. They see what they want to see. They do what they want to do. Isn't that a commercial, Jeremiah?
Hell, I don't know. Yeah,
I'll tell you what. I rewatched the fight yesterday, and there's a few things I took away from it. Number one, I saw nothing wrong with anything, and I watched really close. Number two, it still gave me goosebumps to watch Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder's ass and prove me right after 4 years.
That's why I don't mind seeing a third fight. I hope.
That's what I told Jeremiah. Third fight, he's going to beat him half to death probably, because Mark Riedel will be scared to death to throw the towel in.
I seriously don't wish any harm on anyone, but I seriously hope Wilder gets laid out on a stretcher and he's bloody.
You know what? You cannot, Hamed, say, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, and then right after it follow with, but I wouldn't mind seeing him on a stretcher.
Well, I hope he don't die or like Jeremy McClellan.
You just want him to be like a vegetable or something.
No, but I just hope he gets a serious beating where we won't ever hear about a costume, about a gloves.
Oh, you're going to hear an excuse no matter what.
No, I just hope he doesn't fight again. I really want him to fight guys who bruised. What was that?
He was poisoned before the fight.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I think that might be one of the worst ones I've heard.
Okay. Oh, hell. All right. Anything else you want to discuss before we wrap it up, Hamed?
I haven't been on for a week. I was just going to say, I was posting about this on Twitter, but I was looking at the American heavyweights. Do you guys reckon if Wilder does take the third fight, gets beaten up, Jarrell Miller or guys like that are the next best heavyweight? Because now that Konaki has lost to Ruiz, or Trevor Bryan. I haven't seen much of Trevor Bryan. Are you guys sold on him or Jarrell Miller, or are they guys
I believe
just got padded up records?
With all the American heavyweights, I think they all suck. And that's not to be a joke. True. I haven't seen anybody that I think remotely has a chance to do anything, unless I'm forgetting somebody. And if I am, I'm sure Jeremiah will remind me.
Michael Hunter.
He lost. Did he lose or draw with Povetkin? I mean, Povetkin's
Draw.
old. Yeah, how are you going to beat Tyson Fury if you're getting a draw with Alexander Povetkin? I mean, I don't know.
I was just thinking about someone who could break into the top 10. I'm not sure if Ruiz is American. He said he's Mexican. Konaki.
Well, he'd never been to Mexico until he became the heavyweight champion. But as far as I'm concerned, with the size of his tits, they can have him in Mexico.
I mean, guys.
Well,
like,
I mean,
Dominic Brazil are not that good as well.
Did you really?
Yeah,
just
I mean,
say
the American
Brazil?
heavy.
Jeez.
He had to bring up that name. I mean,
Dominic
but
Brazil. Come on, man.
of all the, yeah, I mean the American heavyweight division, it sucks. I mean, and personally, I don't really care. I mean, I'm not bothered by it. If Andrew Ruiz wants to claim to be Mexican, he's got that claim. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I mean, it's not that big of a deal to me. I don't really have a problem with the UK running things. I don't have a problem with anybody running things so long as they're, a good ambassador to the sport. They get knockouts. They're fairly exciting to watch. I honestly don't care. I mean, but if you look at the heavyweight landscape for the USA, yeah, you got Michael Hunter. I think I like him a lot because he's just about ready for anybody. He's like he tweeted out the other day. He was like, well, I better get in shape because, Uncle Eddie likes to call, for late notice. So I like the guy. He's willing to fight anybody and everybody. He's got a respectable career so far. You could argue that he beat Povetkin. I don't ever see him as a top-level guy, though. Martin, Brazil, Washington, Jennings, Molina, Ariel, these guys are borderline has-beens. Hell, Oliver McCall. Dude, I mean, I'm looking at this list of names here. And Jesus, Dominic Gwynn is still considered a top 20 heavyweight by BoxRec standards, and Gwynn has been past his prime. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Ray Austin is 23rd. I mean, he's 49 years old. I think the best we can. I think the best we can hope for the American ranks is one of the Morrison guys. One of the sons of Tommy Morrison.
Because none of them fight. And when they do, they
I don't think
fight
they
anybody.
box.
They box. Because actually,
they box.
Kinsey and Tripp, I think. But Kinsey is the most possible to do. But no offense, because I really like his mom and I really like his dad. But he doesn't fight enough, and they never really stepped the competition up. I think if they stepped the competition up, we would find out. So I'm not going to completely write him off, but I don't think that he is probably it just because of inactivity, really.
Yeah, I'll add a lot of father sons. Normally, the sons don't end up being that great. I was going to say, I haven't seen enough of Trevor Bryan. I've heard that him and Manuel Cha will be fighting for some sort of WBA version of that whole mess, whatever. If he's one to come through, maybe, and he's good. I haven't seen enough of him, or I haven't seen him fight. Maybe he's someone who's promoted by Duncan, maybe some sort of fringe contender. But I think the only other guy, but he's got a history of PEDs, is Jarrell Miller. I think that now the Top Rank have signed him. I would not mind seeing him and Tyson Fury fight. I think the build-up would be good. And although he's got a padded record, a guy weighing over 300 pounds against someone like Fury is 270, I think that would potentially be a good fight if Fury does what he did.
But Jarrell Miller's not any good.
I mean, it'd be funny just seeing him getting beaten.
All right. Now, when you say funny, I can get on board with that.
Yeah. I was just going to say, for someone who talks a lot, like, I think the thing with Miller is he's very slow and he's, I think, too fat as well. But I wouldn't mind I'd rather have seen that fight than the Wilder 3 fight before all these stupid excuses were coming up. I'm right on board to see Wilder getting another beating, and I hope Fury puts him into retirement this time. But
also,
I think Miller...
Dominic Gwynn, you got to hear that real quick. Dominic Gwynn lost to Arthur Spilka 2 years ago. He got beat by Huey Fury. Lost to Amir Masur. Kubrat Pulev stopped him or beat him. Junior Fa beat him. But he did win a split decision over Terrell Jamal Woods November 23rd of this past year. And I mean, that was for the vacant American Boxing Federation American West heavyweight title, and Woods was 23, 45, and 7. So Dominic wins a guy you really can't, rule out here.
That's a stretch.
Yeah,
Michael Grant was fighting.
Chaz Witherspoon's ranked 17th. Sam Peters 16th still.
How old is
Sam Peters only 39. And I didn't think he was an American. He was from Nigeria, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's not American.
Yeah. He must have passed the test. He got knocked out by Fury Hurry September of last year. I do remember that now. I think that
Huey
was
Fury, yeah.
Huey Fury done knocked his ass out. Cooper Poleb knocked his ass out. Robert Helenius knocked his ass out. And then, like a decade ago, Vladimir Klitschko knocked his ass out. And before that, Vitaly Klitschko knocked his ass out. And
but you guys are talking. You guys are talking about guys. Michael Grant was fighting up till 2017 or 18, I believe. I was looking at his box rec.
Oh, get
and
this.
That's the guy.
Terrell Jamal Woods, the guy who got the split decision loss there, who's 23 and 46 or 24 and 46, is the 34th best heavyweight in the world. You know what this is telling me, Jeremiah? One of the few things I haven't done is have a professional boxing match. I'm thinking maybe there's guys out there I could beat.
What about Shannon Briggs? Is he still rated or is he retired?
Oh, yeah. He's got to be rated. He's probably like top 10. Hell, hold on.
No, I don't think. I think he's been removed because he hasn't been active enough. But I know they talked about getting him to fight some older guy. I mean, they might as well throw him against. Yeah, they might as well throw him against Kendo or.
They were meant to fight.
McCall.
Is it Kendo American? or?
Yeah, he's from Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Puerto Rico's part of us. They tell me.
Kendo's been holding on to that. I don't know, was it WBA vision or something for like years and years, and he's still the mandatory challenger.
He's been the mandatory challenger forever.
That's why I don't play much. I heard Jeremiah and I think it's Montero saying the same. I don't pay much to these ratings, and I think you guys will also talk about Helenius and Charles Martin being mandatory challenges. That's another thing. I think we need to see Fury and Joshua fight as soon as possible. Although I wouldn't mind if that fight can happen sooner rather than later, then Fury fighting Dylan White or Jaron Miller. I think those are not bad fights whilst that fight with Joshua doesn't happen. But the thing with the American heavyweight scene, the thing I do, people say they don't worry or care. Like I've heard other fans saying this as well, and I've heard some of the guys in the media. But if you go back to 2005 or 6, after Lamont Brewster, I think, lost to Klitschko, there wasn't a heavyweight champion for about 10 years. I think Shannon Briggs might have held some sort of version of the belt. I think the media they overrated Wilder. They thought they had some sort of second coming of Tyson. I think if it goes bad for Wilder, we could be back in the time where there wasn't a champion for a very long time, and a lot of the heavyweights in America at that time sucked as well. I think this may be worse. This could be worse. I think these
we don't
guys
care if the Americans suck or not, because I don't really care. I just want to see people get in a fight and be good. And I think the big problem is right now, as long as Tyson Fury is serious, I don't really think there's anybody out there that can seriously challenge him.
That's true, but some of the all-time great heavyweights were all from America. Like, if you were to say this about 50,
because we're superior to all other countries. But it's just right now, all of our guys that are heavyweight champions are actually playing tight end in the NFL.
That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know what happened. They've all either looked at the money that's been generated in boxing, and they've just looked at how much more they could do for sitting on the bench in an NFL game or a basketball game, and they've gone down that route. I'm pretty sure Waldo was a basketball at the beginning as well, but it's staggering. Like, you don't like the green, I forgot, grassroots of where those American heavyweights used to come from. It's just not the same. And although it don't matter in worldwide, it is a bit of a worry though in the future, because I do think when the heavyweight division is on fire, especially in America, I think boxing is a lot better and a lot more hyped up.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing if America is involved, but I mean, we're just not investing in the amateur system like we used to, and these guys are becoming softer than ever. I mean, hell, we had Abel Sanchez on a few years back. I think this was after the first Golovkin fight, and he doesn't even train American guys. He said they don't work for shit. The culture's changed. They're lazy, and pretty much everybody he deals with is Eastern European. Actually, we've had James McGirt on, and he's about the same thing right now. These guys just aren't hungry. The amateur system sucks. I mean, there's a lot gone wrong, but I understand what you mean. Boxing is the central hub is still here in Vegas. That's where people go to make their money. So it does add some excitement to it. But again, personally, I don't even care. I don't.
Yeah.
Let's see. How much in weight is 100? What the heck? Yeah, I've found a guy here from Cincinnati, Ohio, that's 2-36 and lost his last 34 fights, 28 by knockout. Jeremiah. I think I've found my guy. His name's Michael Davis from Cincinnati. Michael, if you would like to box, let's get it on. And then Jeremiah, it's heavyweight. He's like 5'9". It doesn't give his weight. I'm thinking just from the headshot that he's fat. So
I heard Michael Montero saying on one of his shows that I think Lou DiBella said to him, I don't know who was fighting, but you'd beat a lot of his opponents. And I'm pretty sure Montero has done some sort of boxing. I think he was saying in the Marine Corps or something. So
yeah, I used to be a bad son of a bitch. It was just like 30 years ago. I was. So don't you laugh, or I'll fly over there to Wales or whatever godforsaken UK part you're in and kick your ass, Ahmed.
I was just going to say that's how bad the heavyweights are, but you do really need to get William Pounds on, because I would like to hear.
William has been on before, and we embarrassed him, if you remember, when he was trying to make the case that Sugar Ray Robinson was not as good as Floyd Mayweather.
I heard that. Although the Wilder arguments will be a lot more, I think, funny and ridiculous. Cause
that's why he won't do it.
Saying, sorry to go you. He said that Wilder would sleep Fury in the third fight. I had some of the YouTubers of those extreme LDBC Wilder fan channels.
Did he say he would sleep with him or sleep him?
Sleeping.
Okay.
Sleeping. One of them on YouTube said that if they didn't stop the fight with Fury, I think someone uploaded on Twitter that Wilder was gonna sleep him in 9 or 10 rounds. I don't know. I think Wilder would have got seriously hurt in that fight. And that's probably one of the last hope American heavyweights. Some of these guys, I don't think they look at that. Like they should be praying that one of their top heavyweights still lives to fight another day.
Well, I will still say this. If he comes into Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, he'd have had the whole arena with him that wasn't flying in from the UK, and he would have made a ton of fans that night. But he chose to go a different, darker way, no pun intended, and it is what it is. I mean, you got to know how to sell your shit, and he don't know how to sell himself. I mean, he sells himself. He sells himself to what's already his base. You got to expand the base if you want to make even more money.
Yeah. What about? I don't know what else you guys would add with Jeremiah, because I can't think of any time. But I will want to say, what about they were accusing Larry Merchant of being racist? Because I haven't heard the interview, but he
Jesus,
called him
I saw that.
Who did?
I
didn't hear who you said.
Hope.
I heard Larry.
Other YouTubers, a lot of them on Facebook groups as well. But he called Wilder the last Black Hope. But a lot of these guys called guys like Lomachenko and Golovkin.
Really? He called him the last Black Hope? That's disgusting.
You made the article, I think. So I'm just referring. But they also call guys like Lomachenko and Golovkin and some of the Eastern European fighters the White Hope. I don't necessarily think that's racist. If it depends with context. Like with, I don't know how.
I think this. I think that Deontay Wilder, and the reason I called him the Great Black Hype, was because that's what he was, and it was partially because he was an American. It was partially because there's a segment of the population that they played him to. That's why he's making the comments that I want a body on my record and acting basically a dumbass fool. And I think this. I think that if you get a big white guy that can fight or fight a little bit or can knock somebody out, you'll get the media doing the same thing with them because they'll build it. The problem is Deontay Wilder wasn't smart enough to separate himself from that and kind of appealed to more people, because I don't think Deontay Wilder's as big an asshole as he says. Now, I am starting to back off of that, and I'm starting to think maybe he is. But the other thing that I do know is this. Deontay Wilder, of course, after the draw, claimed that he broke his arm, and that's why why he got the draw against Wilder. He makes excuses for everything. If there was any chance that he thought Tyson Fury was cheating, he would be screaming like a bitch. And he's not. So if you're a fan of his, shut up. You look stupid. And William Pounds, I probably wouldn't even have on the show now. Just because, no, I'm serious. I mean, I think having one of these dumbasses on the show would bring our show down to their level because they're basically just absolute freaking morons. And don't, if I wanted to have a moron on this show, I would have one on. But I don't.
What you're saying is true, because I spoke to Michael Montero about this. I think I messaged him, and he replied, and he said the same thing. He said, because he takes callers on his show now. I think I called in the other day as well. He was saying a lot of these guys, you don't want to really be speaking to them, and a lot of these channels as well, really, a lot of people shouldn't pay them attention. Like I think Montero said, you shouldn't click or dislike, or even you shouldn't engage with them. And I think that's true.
Because even if you dislike, you hit them. And the thing is, I've never really seen any videos over the last 3 years, probably, until a couple days ago when I went on and I watched one just for the hell of it to see what all the fuss was about. And like I said, they can't even speak English. I mean, come on. You better ask somebody, but you can't because I can't understand what you're saying anyways.
Yeah,
going away for murder.
Yeah, fucking idiots. I mean,
with Wilder.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, with Wilder, if he was white, would these guys be following him?
No,
I probably don't think
they would hate him if he was white.
I did say all sorts of things, but you were going to say something. I
don't remember what it was by now. Just keep going. I'll figure it out. I got hit in the head a lot when I was younger. American football is worse than boxing.
Yeah, I think Jeremiah sees the same thing. If you're on Facebook, is a lot. I see a lot of guys that I follow posting. So I don't try to interact with a lot of them as much. If I want to have a laugh, I'll now and again just see what they're saying. But after the whole thing, like I remember after the fight, a lot of these guys with the big channels, I'm not going to plug their names, but the guys with over 60, 70,000, 100,000, they give Fury credit. As soon as one of these morons makes a video, I think he's got like 200,000 subscribers, that Fury cheated with the gloves, and that guy barely could speak proper English. I tried listening to him. They all start running with that. Then they start saying Fury's a cheater. Then there's the PED scandal. Like each conspiracy theory they made, a lot of them have been debunked. Jack Reese came out and said there's nothing wrong with the gloves. Although that was the first fight. I'm not sure why that's being brought up after the second fight.
Oh, because they were looking for something for the second fight, didn't find it, so they went with what they found in the first fight. Because they're idiots.
It don't make sense. A lot of the guys, and a lot of these guys are not really smart.
But how about this? Doesn't it make sense when you realize that these are just basically idiots who don't have jobs, who are looking for a way to make a little bit of money, and this is their way? And the big one is, like I said, the Dante's Boxing, who you can pay $3.99, and he'll certify you to be New Era Boxing. And so the fact that anybody would have to pay another man to teach them how to talk is really scary.
They are new media. That's all I'll say about that. I've heard Dante is one of the big guns of that. But I think you should try and get Dante on.
I have tried. I've met Dante before.
I heard you talking about it. I think on the last show.
We're not big friends. He's big, but we ain't big friends. But if Dante wants to come
friendship ain't as big as he is, huh?
Shit, ain't many things as big as he is. No, I'm just kidding. I don't mean to fat shame anybody, even though I just did.
Yeah.
But all right,
you're getting us on trouble on all sorts of levels.
All right, guys, I'm in my 50s, and this show's been over an hour, and I got to pee. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
I don't think there's anything else. Have you got any guests coming on this week? I was just wondering. Have you? I was trying to get someone on, but
I found Why are you trying to say me and Jeremiah are boring without guests?
No, I think it'd be interesting if you could get one of the guys from that community before.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting one. I don't think they're going to come on.
And I think I maybe be able, but it's hard to get hold of some of these guys. The thing I was thinking, after a couple of weeks, I don't.
you only get like I think
They don't want to
200
come into the
minutes.
lion's den.
Yeah. I don't think
That's a good.
I don't think that they really have enough minutes on their phone. Probably.
If you call them, I think one of them the other day. I don't know if he's part of the LDBC, but a lot of the narratives he was pushing were what the LDBC say.
I think we can go other ways and probably get better guests. But Michael Montero will be on sometime. We're supposed to talk this week because actually, the weird thing was after he retweeted our show, we started talking through text, and I told him he had to come on, and he said he'd love to or something like that. And then like 10 minutes later, I see you tweeting him and putting pressure on him. And I'm like, does Hamed, is he part of our government? Is he NSA? Has he been listening to my phone calls or reading my text?
No. I seen him quoting the show, so...
Hey, and I know you're not going to admit it if you are, because the NSA won't admit it, because it's super secret.
Yeah. No, but it does say, I mean, I am happy that Mike listens to our show. I mean, I don't know if he's a regular listener, but I mean, I listen to his stuff every week. And, I hear him say some of the things that we say on the show. And, maybe it's his own original material. Maybe it's influenced by us. Either way, I mean, hell, I'm influenced by him. He brings up some good points. That's why I like talking to various people. That's why, unlike this, LDBC, whatever it is, I like talking to people who are, I mean, you can look at my Facebook page. I converse with people with all sorts of different opinions, and I'm happy with that because you get more enlightened by doing so. Being exposed to different opinions, again, I feel smarter because of it. I'm not always going to make the best points. So sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes other people get it right, and I'm happy to be so. But, these people, they're in their group, they're in their community, right? It is what it is. But I don't have any last words for the show. We should have Mike on, and I'll be happy to do so. It's been a while since we talked. Hell, I think it's been a year or two since we've last had him on.
I don't know. He's been on 2 or 3 times. I know we had him on for a McGregor Mayweather show, and I think we had him on another time when I was trying. Yeah, I think it was Canelo Triple G.
And Kovalev Ward. I've been following Montero for a long time through, I think it's UCN Live back from 2015-16.
Yeah, the Undisputed Champions Network.
Network.
Him and Steve Kim or Dougie Fisher?
Steve Kim, Dougie Fisher. I think it was a couple of guys. Steve Kim, Dougie Fisher, and it was, I think, some guy on Twitter who was with NBC. I forgot his name. Dave something, I forgot. I was just gonna say, that'd be good to listen to. What about Steve Kim? That'd be a good guess if you guys could try.
I wouldn't mind having Steve Kim on, but I think what do you call it? He hasn't blocked me, but I think he has me muted.
Why would you do?
He's blocked me as.
He didn't block me. I didn't do anything, and that's a first.
Well, we got into it a little bit because he's a multi-title guy and I'm a single-title guy, and I mean I haven't really replied much to his comments after that, but I feel like whenever I have said anything, it's just getting no traction. So I don't know. I think he's muted me. I don't know.
I got muted, I think, by Dougie Fisher as well. I can't remember, but some of these guys are very opinionated. I don't think Michael Montero is as much. I think he's a lot more open-minded than the other two. Although I think the other two, especially Steve Kim, Dougie Fisher is a very nice guy. I've heard a lot of his stuff on Ring TV and stuff like that. I think Steve Kim, he acts slightly different on Twitter. Although I necessarily agree with a lot of what a majority of these guys say. I know they're writers, but you compare them to the guys of the new media. I don't think you compare them.
Those guys, because the guys from the new media don't know how to write sentences. You've never seen. Why they don't have a magazine. You don't see a new media website where they're pumping out articles.
Yeah, I don't think they could write or read, maybe as well. I'm not sure. They may be able to.
Racist. Stop it. No,
they may be able to read. But I heard an interview from Mayweather trying to spell goat. I was thinking I don't know. I was thinking, did he do that on purpose? Because I think Adrian Broner put up a post, and the GAOT had some other meaning. But I don't think a lot of those guys know how to really. They don't know how to probably intellectually write, or even a lot of their sentences. Maybe they can't read because they do have channels which they read enough stuff. But I was just joking. Yeah, I was gonna say they are still part of the media. I'm pretty sure both of you guys are still writing, so that is actual media.
They're not part of the media. They're morons.
Yeah,
I was referring to Montero and those guys.
Yeah, he writes.
No, because Montero said he started up with a YouTube channel, but he's also been writing for a long time. A lot of these guys...
He writes for Boxing Monthly and Ring Magazine, I think.
A lot of those guys on YouTube, I'm pretty sure a lot of them don't write. There's nothing wrong if you do.
Hey, how about this, though? Wait a second. I want to know something. You come on our show and you promote Michael Montero's show all the time. When you call into Montero, do you bring up us?
Montero cut me off. He had a lot of calls the other day, but I was thinking of when I go on there. I was going to ask him.
So you don't even ask here; you just do it. But okay, I see how you are, Hamed.
He retweeted the thing, so he's already plugged. I asked him, so I did bring it up. He was saying he was already asking. I was going to say I love those guys on YouTube. I don't think they personally write, but I do listen to some YouTube channels that are actually good. Guys like the Boxing Rant who do a podcast, guys like Ring IQ. There are some very good channels that, just cover boxing from YouTube and try and call it down the middle. I think with those LDBC and a whole lot of other channels, there are channels that are extremely biased against black fighters as well. And I think it started off with the whole Povetkin Waldis. Jeremiah probably knows who I'm talking about, but there are a lot of channels that are kind of biased on the other side as well. So I've seen kind of the both ends. I personally just think that's YouTube because that's a platform. It's in football as well, soccer, where it's given a lot of people a voice where they could use it. And some people don't use the platform, they abuse it. And I think that's what's going on in boxing.
All right, Hamed, well said. We are going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. I want to remind everybody you can follow us at Grueling Truth. Make sure you go to iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you listen to us at. Leave us a comment. Give us a thumbs up. But for now, Hamed, make sure you get plenty of hand sanitizer. You too, Jeremiah, and everybody else out there. Go buy all the hand sanitizer at Costco that you can find. So, we will be back tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. As always, we'll see if we can find a guest because me and Jeremiah together, by ourselves, bores Hamed. But for now, for Hamed Zaman, Jeremiah Preisser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak. We ought to just